That's like the number one way we protect our culture.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Elite Agent Secrets. Today we've got Ara and Ryan from the Springs team in Toronto. Now, this is the first time they're breaking boundaries. We've got two people on, so we're going to have double trouble. Now, these guys have been in real estate. Ara's been in real estate 13 years. Not sure if Ryan has two. We'll find out soon. Anywhere from 500 to 30,000 deals. So we're going to find out on the podcast where we're close to, but they've now done nearly 3 million in GCI in a year. Currently have 5 agents and 3 admin. Ara went from making about 300K to 7 figures, and Ryan was SVP at Condos.ca, managing a 235 person agent team. They joined forces in September of 2020 and have already made 3 million in GCI in that year alone. They've got huge goals. Ara said he lost everything in 2016, so we're going to be unpacking what went on there. We're going to be discussing growing a team, systems, automations, understanding market stats, and efficiency to grow in your business. Most importantly, full-time real estate agents, part-time crap crypto traders. We're going to be diving into it all. NFT world, real estate. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show. We can't wait to dive into this. This is going to be a blast.
Cheers. Thanks for having us.
Look forward to this.
Gosh, how do we even unpack this? I mean, there's the two of you, and we typically ask everybody's backstory, but I'm sure somehow they have to intertwine and come to a crossroads. So who do we give the spotlight to first when it comes to taking us back to day one?
Let's just talk about us together. Our day. I mean, we can go two ways. We can like individually talk about ourselves, which I'm not too excited about. I'd rather talk about what Ryan and I have been doing together over the past year.
Yep, let's do it. Take us back a year ago. You joined forces. You were obviously both fucking savages in your own right. I mean, Ryan, 235 person team, you know, Ara, you were doing some crazy numbers yourself. So what happened a year ago? Why'd you join forces? You know, what kind of happened, and take us from there?
Let me start real quick to let you know how I came into Ryan's world. Like we have been selling in the same sort of urban markets, you know, since Ryan got into real estate. Since I've been in real estate, I've just always known of him. And I got to know the founder of the previous company where both of us came from pretty well. And, you know, eventually I ended up at this other brokerage after having my own real estate brokerage. It just wasn't quite working out. It wasn't exciting for me anymore. So Carl, who owned this other company called Property.ca, had us go over there. I agreed to go over there, and I just started doing my own thing as an independent agent, kind of starting again. You know, I went from having Spring Realty to the Spring team, and, you know, Ryan was there as like the guy who was doing all of the, you know, agent training, and he was dealing with all of the issues the agents were having. And, you know, Ryan and I just, you know, I talk a lot. So like in team meetings, I was always like chirping in, and, you know, Ryan and I just built a relationship. And then honestly, I don't even remember the one specific moment. I don't know if Ryan does, but I don't really remember that one moment where we're like, hey man, we should do something together. Like I'm trying to remember that moment, but you know, it was a company. Like I really loved how Ryan just had the company organized, and I needed a lot of structure in my life at the time. And, you know, Ryan really helped with that. And we started to really get to know each other and decided, let's do this. But maybe Ryan can add some color to that whole situation.
Yeah, I think like it, you know, so as the SVP of sales there, I managed, you know, there was 5 different offices. Our owned one of them, as well as all of the other agents. I still sold as well. But you know, what kind of happened is Ara and I had built a relationship as he was very involved, and we were involved together on a smaller scale because he ran one of our offices. So, you know, I got to know him a lot better than I did, you know, every agent at the brokerage. And, you know, I started with Property.ca and Condos.ca before Property.ca even existed. And when Condos.ca was in its infancy, I think it was like 12 agents and one full-time developer and one full-time admin. And, I was there and watched and we, grew it as a team to, when I left, it was like 235 to 250 agents with a team in Vancouver and, 60 full-time staff. And to be honest, I just kind of did a reality check probably like late in 2019. I knew my second kid was on the way. And I had gotten to management to work less and I was working more because I was still selling, like $500,000 GCI plus had a full-time desk job. And I thought back to like, when was I happiest? And I was like, it was when this team was small and had a ton of culture and like, you were mentored really one-on-one by the team leaders and I mentored a lot of agents coming up. And that's when I was really happy and really loved what I was doing in real estate and in the space. And, Ara brought so much to the table in terms of his knowledge and skill sets. And I felt like he was someone that had like a lot of skill sets that I didn't have. And I think I have skill sets that he didn't have. We kind of balanced each other off really well. And then at the same time are both like pretty like no bullshit type guys. We both have big egos, but we're both good at ripping each other's egos down pretty quickly, but then not being soft and salty about it and just moving on. So I just thought we'd be a good fit. And like when I was ready to make that move, I just thought Ara would be someone to do it with, as I didn't think, I wasn't naive enough to think like, I'm the man, I can do this all on my own and like build the number one team in Toronto, which is our goal. And like Ara was just the right person, I thought, to do it together with.
So when you guys got started, like September 8th, 2020 here, and you were at zero, was it literally you two kind of in a room, or did you bring over agents? How did that work? Because saying in a single year from 0 to 3 million in GCI, that's not volume, that's 3 million cash in banks. I'm sure you got tax and stuff.
If that was volume, that would be great.
But
if that was volume, that means we sold like 2 houses and called it.
I was going to say Peter would be beating you in his first 3 months. He sold more than 3 million.
There you go.
So how did that work? How did that transition? I know this is kind of going to roll into your first topic, which is going to be growing the team and the team culture and managing that. This is a huge topic. It's something we're very interested in because this is the point we're at in our life as well, team and team culture. So how did you guys execute against this and have such a great first year? And obviously we're going to unpack where you are now as well, which is huge.
Well, I mean, the way it all started was obviously we had, been planning this long before September the 8th. We launched it on September the 8th together. So it was literally just Ryan and I and nobody else kind of creating this version of the spring team that we know today. And, it's funny, like it was Ryan and I, but at the same time, we have, I think, one of the most awesome first agent stories that are out there. Cause like, Ryan and I, we discussed this, like we want to make sure our systems are ready. We want to make sure we have our coach in place. We want to make sure that we have everything ready. So when we're ready to hire, we don't make the same mistakes that I've definitely made in the past, bringing people on just to have people and then completely messing up their careers because you're not ready to support them and you're not ready to do anything with them. But we broke that rule almost immediately because we're just sitting there one day and all of a sudden I noticed a WhatsApp notification come up on my phone. And prior to that, there was this one agent who we worked with at the previous company. Like she's always been like energetic and we were super friendly, but it was more of like a partying kind of relationship versus like we know her to be like a great agent kind of relationship. And so we're like, okay, we're not ready. We kept telling her we're just not ready. So all of a sudden we get a notification on our phones and it's like a new chat group was started called the Spring Team. And it had me, Ryan, and this agent in it. She started a chat group and like the chat group that we use today for our entire team was started by somebody that was not even on our team to begin with.
The balls
that's
on this
so
woman's
amazing.
agent. I love it.
She just bullied her way onto the team.
if you met her, you would totally understand that it fits her perfectly, this whole situation. So essentially we were bullied into hiring her, and we did, and we brought her over to the Remax Hallmark office, which is where we're at in Toronto. And then, we started off, okay, like, listen, we wanted to build a team that has the most competent agents in the entire city. We want to, deliver the highest possible value that we can in an extreme seller's market where it's so difficult to be successful with buyers. So Ryan, and this is where Ryan's skills come in. Like, he's an excellent motivator, trainer, mentor, coach like himself. And I'm just better at sort of dissecting information and keeping things relatively calm in a very emotional environment and being very careful about what's said and all that stuff. So we had somebody who was on our team, we didn't really want on our team at the time, who was like all the things we don't want out of a team member at that time. And hopefully she doesn't hear this and feel like insulted, but she knows this. We've said all this to her face as well.
I really do hope that she hears this because she listens to our podcast.
Yeah. And so long story short, not like to drag this on forever, is so we basically went all in on her. Her name's Mila. She's awesome. We went all in on Mila, and it was like a super rocky start because we're all learning how to do things. We're building our systems as we go. And then like fast forward, and I'm going to skip a whole bunch, but like fast forward from the moment she bullied herself onto our team to now, we just rewarded her with a trip to Mexico this year as our top producing agent, who is following our systems and mentoring other agents like at a level we never expected. So like it was the best opening story ever.
Yeah, and she went from like I think like never breaking. I think her like best year was like 80K GCI to this year she's like 400K GCI.
Holy shit!
Like, yeah. So, and to be honest, you can ask Ara, like, even in the first like 3 to 6 months, Ara and I had like serious conversations of like, was this a mistake? Like, not only because of her, but just like we felt like maybe we weren't set up and where we wanted to be to give her what she needed. And like, we just felt like she wasn't. Here's a problem with Ara and I is we both think we're really smart, and we both think everyone else should be as smart as us. And then when they're not, we get fucking pissed off.
Welcome to our world.
So when she wasn't like immediately grasping what we were teaching her, and we were watching her like do the same things that we taught her not to do, we would like, we'd have team meetings and look at each other and be like, what the fuck? Like, this was a mistake. And then it was like one day a switch just flipped. It was at like the 6-month mark, and not even, maybe 4-month mark. And she just became like everything we had hoped an agent would be, and then has like built upon that faster than we like could ever have expected. And yeah, it's like now, producing on a level that she never would have expected either. So like, obviously lots happened.
What's that, Ryan?
I was just saying, obviously lots happened in between there. We did grow our support, like hired admins and, had up to 2 admins, and we're getting her lots of support, and our training was built out and so on and so forth. But she also benefited from getting a lot of one-on-one time early.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this like, if we messed up with her, like, imagine trying to find another agent that would come with us. Like, this was like, we had to make this successful. And the beautiful part is, like, just like Ryan and I are really no BS. We don't get sensitive if one of us has to like be a little harsh and like say straight facts sometimes. And Mila's exactly the same way. Like, I think it comes because she comes from she's a world-renowned professional ballroom dancer. So for her, the big switch was, either you are going to be a ballroom dancer and continue down that path, or you need to devote your life to real estate completely. And the fact that she like trusted us to give up her life's like work as a professional dancer and like say, okay, I'm with you guys now. Like, that was I have goosebumps talking about it, because like that is a huge responsibility to make sure that we give her all the opportunity to be successful. And the moment I think she flipped that switch in her head, it just worked. And that allowed us to open the gates a little, bring on a few agents, and, focus on the training programs, which I think is probably the most organized and one of the best training programs that could exist on a team.
So one of the things that I love about this story is I've heard, like, I'm not that ballsy to set up a fucking group with two people that I haven't employed, but like I look back in my life and I've definitely got certain opportunities. Like part of it is just asking. A lot of people, like they say, the hot girl at the bar, and then she's usually the single one because no one fucking asks because they assume that she's got guys all over her. Now, it's kind of, I think a lot of big opportunities in life are kind of like that because people are like, shit, I'd love to work for them, but they've probably got people flocking at the doors. And a lot of the times it's actually those people who wanting to either help other people, so they're really open to it, or they need the help. Actually, they want to employ people. So I love the balls on this woman is fucking amazing. Like this is
get her on this show at some point. She'll be an interesting guest for you.
100%. Now, what happened then? So you got her on. So was it just you three to do the 3 million in the first year?
No.
So how fast did you grow? What did I'm interested, like when you hired admins, like what kind of metrics you were looking at if they were there? How you
milestones, if there were any.
So here's the biggest thing. Like when we joined forces, we wanted an admin to be the first hire.
Because we didn't want to hire an agent until we had an admin.
Yeah, we knew that having the systems in place for not only our success, and it wasn't about our success, we wanted the systems in place for our client's success and to make the client experiences as seamless and as repeatable and scalable as possible with as little as Ara and I's involvement as possible. Because that's the only way you can scale a team, right? Like if you're trying to scale a team solely off how Ara or I interact with clients, we can only handle so many clients, right? So we knew that coming in, and we were like, we first hire as an admin, and we got to build rock solid systems. So I think our admin was hired like a month in. I think she started like October 17th.
Yep, because I know this because we forgot to celebrate her 1-year anniversary, and she reminded us.
Yeah. So we started to look for an admin right away. It was just a bit of a process to find that right person and make that hire. Luckily we had an awesome coaching team that, helped us with the whole process, from like helping us, write the job description to helping us review resumes, reviewing personality tests, so on and so forth. But that admin hire happened like almost immediately. Yeah, like a month in.
Yeah, and that was a whole different experience altogether because I've hired in the past and it's never gone smoothly because I've just been immediately frustrated if somebody can't do something. So I just did it myself and fired them, and it was just like the worst way to try and scale a business. But I think a lot of our success now and initially has to do with our coaching team. I think that everybody should have a coach if they're not, able to kind of move that needle forward themselves. I think it's been incredibly helpful just keeping us focused. But no, Sarah was an awesome addition to our team because once she got going, that means, Ryan and I and Mila, we didn't have to focus on paperwork anymore because that was being dealt with. So it just allowed us to focus on making sure the leads were being followed up with, making sure that, all the clients we had in the pipeline were being serviced at the highest possible level. And the training is very hard, at the beginning, because all of your time, like you hire somebody to make your life easier. But at the beginning, it actually makes your life 20 times harder because you've got to spend all this time to get them set up.
Which is something I had also failed miserably at. Like when I was an agent, I had went through 3 admins and none of them had worked out. And it's not, I've realized it wasn't a fault of theirs. It was always a fault of mine for not training them properly and then having unrealistic expectations about how they were going to be able to help me. So like Ara and I both knew that going in, and like, we even said like everything this first 3 months is like getting her trained and building out our systems to support us going forward in the future, even if it means we make less money.
It's a lost leader, right? Isn't it? This is how it works. It's like you got to put time, you've got to lose money, but then on the backside, you make more money and you have more time. That's kind of the trade-off, but it's hard. We've seen this all too often. We've done this ourselves where I think in real estate, more than most industries, like ego is a huge part of like a lot of real estate agents have huge, enormous egos, and a lot of them for no real reason that we've seen. It's like they do 40,000 a year and they're like, I'm the world's best agent. And it's like, yet there's people like yourselves who are doing hundreds of deals per year. You know, this year you said just off air you're going to do about 200 this year, right? Which is massive. And it's like, there's people like yourselves who are kind of like, here, I'm here, share and do all this great stuff and want all our other amazing guests. And then there's people doing 30,000 a year who just think they're the dog's bollocks. And it's like, how is this happened, right? And the problem is with the people who are the lower down, they are the people that also need the help, right? They are the people that need to get time to figure out what they're good at, to do the things that they're good at, to maybe offset, you know, the paperwork, like you guys said. Admins is the one that we always hear first. Usually it's around the 30 deal threshold. So when you're getting to, you know, 15 to 30 deals, people like hire an admin. It's mental bandwidth as well. It's like you don't have to worry about doing that shit because you hate it. And it's like get someone else to do it, get an assistant in, fill their work with their plate with other things. Now, once you've got your team, so at this point, you know, you've got a few people, you're hiring more. Like you said, you've got a much bigger team now. One of the things that is important, and this is something to be, you know, completely transparent about, it's something that me and Peter definitely are working on because it's hard, which is culture. Because one of the big challenges is hiring is part of it, right? You've got to hire people that you think are going to fit in, but a lot of people seem like they will and then they don't, right? And it's like, are you hire slow, fire fast? Are you hire fast, fire fast? Like, are you like, we'll try them out and we just get them in and get them out? We need to find that fit. And then how are you indoctrinating them in? Like, what is your culture? How did people buy into it? And is that something you're working on? Or is that something that you really have established? Like, this is our company. This is exactly how we do it. And you either fit or you don't.
Yeah. I mean, we have a fairly, you know, basic onboarding process that introduces the agent to, well, even before they even get to the whole onboarding thing, they've had an interview with us. They've probably had an interview with our coach. They've had, you know, like a, what's called the Colby A test, which is like it's not necessarily like a pass or fail kind of test, but a Colby just, you know, gives you a series of numbers and puts you in certain boxes that says you're probably really good at this, not so good at that. So it's not like you pass or fail. We just allows us to work with you in a way that we know you can succeed. So a number of things happen before any onboarding happens. And like, honestly, you know, Ryan and I were interviewing somebody, I don't know, like 2 months ago, and, you know, whatever, if they listen to this, they listen to this, I don't care. But like we were sitting there and like, you know, 5 minutes into the conversation, we both kind of sneakily looked at each other and just went like, ain't nobody got time for this. But then we sat through another half an hour of the interview. And then we, you know, sent her an email the next day and we're like, sorry, it's just not a good fit. She's like, yeah, I knew 5 minutes in that it wasn't a good fit. I'm like, so she totally obviously noticed us being total disrespectful idiots in front of her, which is not something I'm proud of. But it's just, you know, we know who's a good fit and who's not. Like, I don't care. Like, I can teach anybody to sell real estate. I don't care about that. But I can't teach anybody to be like, you know, communicate efficiently and effectively and be, a good human and somebody who is coachable. Like, it's very hard to teach coachability, but it's a lot easier if they're immediately coachable. So, you know, we established that we don't want to have just random people in our office. We've turned a ton of people down, definitely more than we've said yes to. And, you know, our goal, we have a 1 year or 3 year, 10-year plan, and we know how many kind of agents we want during that course. And we're really in no rush. But if opportunities come, we'll always say yes. But that's like the number one way we protect our culture. And then once you're on the team, there are just a number of things that we do. Anything from, and we spend, I think out of any team that I've ever seen, our team spends the most time together, I think. We do a lot of fun things together. We have a lot of content creation days where we're all having like the most fun. So I feel like that is a big part of it. So if I don't like you and I don't want to hang out with you, you're probably not going to be a good agent on our team. Like, you're not going to fit in on our team. Like, you know, we have this, you know, our hats, like, they have raccoons on them. Like, if you think that's unprofessional, then you're not an agent that, you know, is probably somebody that fits here. Like, the way Ryan and I look right now, this is how we look when we're selling a $5 million place, or whether we're selling, you know, renting an $1,850 a month condo. Like, we're now, you know, we asked a friend of ours, like, what they thought about, like, what is the Spring team to you? We asked. And she said it's, you know, success without pretension. And that actually, you know, struck a huge chord, because that's what we are. We don't do suits. We don't do things like that. We care more about the value we bring to the table, and not so much about, but although like Ryan used to dress like a friggin' G, this guy used to show up to the office with like $25,000 suits, for Christ's sake. Like it was, I don't know if it was that expensive, but so part of my casualness rubbed off on this guy.
One of the things that I really enjoy about what you guys are speaking, it's you didn't have a process dialed in. You dove right in. It wasn't perfect, and it still allows you to stay true to yourself and put out the numbers on the board, which as you are figuring it out, your transparency and your vulnerability allows people to come into that environment and be okay with the culture that you're creating, because you're really doing it together. And I think that's what really stands out, right? Like
I agree. Like one of the most important questions that we ask in the interview is like, why do you want to be in real estate? And the answer I'm looking for is to add value to the lives of others and be able to help other people, right? Like if that's what someone's about, then they have a shot on our team, because the money is secondary, right? Like what we're actually helping people do as realtors, we're not fucking selling them anything. If they're out there buying real estate, right? They're buying with or without you as the agent that they're out seeing something with. They need to feel like you're adding value to their search and you're helping, or the sale, you're adding value in some way, whether it's making it easier, whether it's adding knowledge, whether it's making them comfortable to what is one of the biggest, if not the biggest transaction in Toronto. It's going to be the biggest transaction of 99% of people's lives, right? And like, we're not there to sell them anything. We're there to act as consultants and add value where we can for each particular buyer or seller where it's needed, right? And so we're just looking for people who want to like help people. And if you want to help someone and you as the agent and the money you make are secondary, I can teach you how to help a lot of people. And then the money is secondary to that. If you're helping a lot of people, you'll make a lot of money. And if people feel like you really help them, they're going to refer you to other people because they feel like you're genuinely just there as a consultant, trying to help them make the right decision for them, whether it takes 6 months or 6 years. It's when it's right.
And that's the thing. That's the biggest thing with especially a company like us who does generate, quite a bit of leads. And a big part of our business is, contacting leads who have reached out to us first about a, exclusive listing or a pre-construction project or whatever. It's, our job there is to help newer agents and those that are less experienced working with leads understand that you're not there to close that lead at the very first, call. And the whole point of what we're doing is, we are like Ryan said, like, I don't need your money. I don't need your commission. Like, you want to go buy with somebody else, go ahead. We're not coming at it from that point of view. We just know what we know. And what we know happens to be like, in terms of our market data and everything, industry leading. And if you understand that, we want to apply that knowledge that we spend every second of every day building to help you make really great decisions. And so getting an agent off the mindset that, oh, this is a shit lead, they didn't want to buy right now. I'm like, what? Like, what kind of planet are you living on? This is not like, this is a human being who is going to transact at some point in the future. And is it going to be with you? Maybe, maybe not. And, trying to help the agent understand that there's a long path to get from that first communication to potentially doing a deal with that person. And once we get there, it's gold. But getting there sometimes, like breaking that wild horse, is the hardest thing to do.
Oh, and by the way, you might not have known this, but we've already helped over 100 agents cross over $100,000 per year and up in GCI with our predictable and scalable systems. So if you're interested in learning more about our courses and coaching to help you scale your business to 6 figures and beyond, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.